What you guys, got another video here for you. This one is to show people the differences in speed when it comes to these NVMe drives. Now, the other day I made a video showing the performance on the Kingston KC3000 series, and also got this XPG gaming S70 Blade version here as well. Now, I was getting quite a lot of comments from people. They're generally trolls or people that come on who think they know best, and they were saying that basically that these drives are not much different than an SSD. You won't notice any difference in speed or performance, and it doesn't even improve workflow or productivity. I've got quite a few negative comments, so I'm going to address that in this video by showing you some of the performances. But first, let's have a word from today's sponsor. So CD Key Sales have got a Black Friday event going on. If you want to get 35% off all your orders, you can head over there, make an account, and use my promo code to get 35% off. You need to use capital B, capital R 09 and push apply, and this will give you a discount. As you can see here, quite a massive discount. 35% off of everything on their website. You can use the links in the video description to head over there and to just apply these to your order, and you will get 35% off during the Black Friday event. So it's not going to stay at 35% off for long. So if you do need to buy any products, then head over there and get your orders in as soon as possible. Okay, so back to the tutorial. So what we've got here is two drives. They're both in here. They're both the Gen 4 NVMe drives, and we'll do a test copying data from one drive to another drive. This is not a partition. This is two separate drives, as you'll see here. So the two NVMe drives that I've got on this motherboard are both Gen 4, and they are both running on a Gen 4 M.2 slot, which means they're capable of running at PCI Express 4.0 speeds. So we are going to utilize both of these, and I'm going to copy data from one side of the drive to another and then back again. And you will then see how fast it copies that data from one drive to another. Now, if you're moving large files like video files, 100 gigabytes or more, then you'll see a difference when you're using two drives like this. Now, when you run benchmark software like this, we're just going to run the top one here, which will give us a read and write. Now, the reads and writes will be in megabytes per second here, and you can see the amounts of data that this will be able to read and write at that speed. Now, an SSD will probably be around about 450 to 500 reads and writes, around that sort of figure, depending on which drive you use. So how can an SSD be as fast as this NVMe drive, which is a Gen 4 drive? When I see people in the comments section, I'm not going to mention no names, you know who you are, but you have now been blocked because of the constant, attacks and trolling, and it just gets really tiresome. When I see people saying things like that, it just means that they don't understand technology, or they don't understand the way things work. And if I copy data from one drive to another, and I've both got two drives in here which are NVMe drives, you will see that the data will go across way faster than it would if I was copying data from an NVMe drive to a mechanical drive or to an SSD. The speeds will be reduced because of the bottlenecking that you're going to receive by copying data to a slower device. Now, this video is not about me being right and trying to prove a point. It's about educating people and letting them understand how technology works and how fast it would be by using two NVMe drives like this in tandem together. You're going to get really super fast speeds. So when I see comments like, you don't know what you're talking about, it's a waste of money, SSDs are just as fast, you won't notice any difference between the speeds, they are completely wrong. You will see a massive amount of difference. Also, I see comments about you didn't prove anything about workflow and how it would improve your productivity and workflow. Well, this is what this video is for. So I'm going to do a quick test here, and we're going to copy this file across. Now, this is a 19.8 gigabyte file. It's got a bunch of files inside here, and we'll copy this from one drive to the other drive. This is not a partition. This is two drives that are Gen 4 and we are going to copy this across. And this is nearly 20 gigs in size. So let's copy it from one drive to the other. Now, if all drives are equal and there is no real improvement and you won't visibly be able to see it, then me copying this across will be the same across all different scenarios. And I'll show you a few other scenarios. So you can see how fast that is copying that 20 gig file across from one drive to another drive. Now, I don't know about what you're thinking, but that is super fast, as you can see there. So you can imagine having really large files when you're doing AutoCAD, or massive big files like 4K files with 100 gigs in size or more, and you're copying files from one drive to another. It's going to be super fast. So here we go. We're going to copy this back. And again, this is just a rough test. I know there's a slight delay in me pushing the timer and copying across, but you can do the math and work out how fast that is copying data from one drive to another. So as you can see, the speeds are very, very quick. I've made a slight deduction for the amount of time it took me to push, and it's roughly around about 11 and 12 seconds each way. Now, this is not an exact science. This is just to give you an idea of how fast this copies data across from one drive to another. And these are all sort of video files, as you can see here. Now, for people saying that how would this improve your workflow or productivity, then you can see there by copying that data across, if you was working in that field of graphic design where you're copying large files across or video editing, you would then see a massive improvement in your workflow because of how quick you can move files around and copy them about. So that is that argument there answered. So let's have a look at the drives here that we're going to test on this machine so we can see how fast it is when you use, say, SSD or you use a mechanical drive and things like that. So we can get a rough idea of the speed differences between NVMe, SSD and mechanical drives, and you'll get an idea about how much time it takes to move data around. So what we've got here is a system which has a bunch of drives on it, and I'm going to show you here. So this drive here is a 1 terabyte NVMe Gen 3 drive. So it's not as fast as a Gen 4, but the reads and writes are still pretty impressive. And you can see here, these are the reads and writes for a Gen 3. And this one's a Kingston Gen 3 drive. And you can see the speed differences right there. So not as fast as the other drives, but I just wanted to show you the differences in data transfer and things like that so you can get a rough idea. We've got an SSD here, which is a PNY SSD. And we'll just do a quick check on here so you can see the speed difference for reads and writes on these drives. So for people that say there is no difference, you can already see there's a difference in read and write speeds. Now, if you don't understand what read and write speeds are, these are how it's going to read data and write data. And obviously, the higher the number, that means the more data it can read and write at the same time. So you can see as we go down the food chain here, it gets a lot lower and slower. And this is the sort of things you can expect for a cheaper product, which is cheaper to purchase, and it's not as fast, and it has different technology involved in it. And also mechanical drives. We'll just do a quick test on mechanical drives and how we've advanced from mechanical drives to SSD, and then now we're going on to NVMe, which is even faster. You can see this is a mechanical drive, and it's not going to be as fast. So copying data to this drive would not be as fast, and this would be a slower work productivity if you was working with a mechanical drive and an NVMe drive. If you're copying data from an NVMe drive to a mechanical drive, that would obviously be slower, and you would see a difference in speeds. Common sense tells me that, but of course people in the comment section know best, and instead of showing people the differences on their channel, they don't. They have a channel that has no sharing of information, and they just use it as a dump channel to go around trolling on other people's channels. So let's take a look here. We've got, say, 17.6 gigabytes of data. They're the same files, just a different amount of data, and we'll copy this across. So I'm going to start this off, and we are now copying this across from an NVMe Gen 3 to a PNY SSD. And you can already see how much slower that is. We're going from a Gen 3 NVMe drive to a SSD. By now, I would have already copied it from one drive and then back to the other drive, and it was more data as well that I was copying. Now, even though Gen 3 is still very fast, we are copying over to an SSD, and the reasons why this is a lot slower is because it can't read and write as fast as those other drives, so you're having to wait for it to copy that data over. And of course, another thing to take into account here is if you are using large files and you're doing AutoCAD or graphic design, or you're doing video editing, moving large 4K files around, of course you want the best and fastest hardware as possible, because this helps with workflow and productivity. And you can see the amount of time that took there to copy it across. It's pretty slow. So let's go from a SSD to a mechanical drive, which is a pretty common sort of scenario. A lot of people have this setup. And there we go. We're copying over now to from an SSD to a mechanical drive. And you can see how long this will take. It's a lot longer. And this means that if you are using this setup, there's nothing wrong with this setup. It just means that this may be okay for you, but it's not as fast as going from an NVMe to an NVMe. It's just not. And people need to understand that. So being a content creator on YouTube sometimes comes with its downfalls. You get attacked quite a bit on the comment section. You'll get know-it-alls, you'll get trolls, and you'll get, narcissist people that will tend to go to your channel and every day just say something negative. There's no positivity in their life, and they just want to, bring you down to their level. And sometimes it's very hard to not comment back to them, or you block them or hide them. And, you just find yourself getting drawn into their world sometimes to correct people. And then when you correct them, they turn it and flip it onto you as if it's all your fault. And this is the world we live in today. So being a content creator is not easy. Now, another thing I've noticed is these people will also go to other YouTube channels and do the same there as well. And that's just part of what they do. And they hide behind an account that has no way of knowing who they are. And of course, being the expert that they are, you would think that they would share that knowledge and create content, but they don't. It's much more easier for them to go in the comments section and leave a comment, which is a bit of a negative comment, and then basically they become your troll. They do it every single day, every time you upload a video. But while we've been talking, this data has been still copying across, and you see how long that's took to copy that data over to a mechanical drive. Very, very slow. So for those people that say that this is no difference between all of these methods, and you may as well just use an SSD, you're not going to see any benefit from it or anything like that, they're completely wrong. The data will be copied so much faster, and you can do other things and get on with your day. So hopefully this video has been some sort of help to you. Now, obviously, not everyone is going to be able to afford the bleeding edge technology, which I understand. And I also understand that some people might be happy with an SSD and a mechanical drive. There's nothing wrong with that scenario there. If you are getting by with it and you're okay with it, then by all means use it. That's why we have choices in life, where we can choose what suits our budget and what suits our needs. Now, I don't normally make videos like these where I address certain things, but over the last few months, I've been getting quite a few people attacking me on the comment section, and it does really sort of grind you down after a while. And I'm not going to name and shame people and show comments and stuff like that, because I just think it's just stupid, and it just gives them the publicity that they want. You know who you are, and stop doing it. That's all I'm saying, because eventually what will happen is you're going to end up getting blocked, and I won't see them anymore. Anyway, with that said, my name has been Brian from briteccomputers.co.uk. Hope this video has been some sort of use to you. I just want to say a big thanks to all my YouTube members who have joined my YouTube members group. Your names are rolling up on the screen right now, and I shall see you again for another video real soon. Have a lovely weekend. If you fancy a chat, then don't forget you can always join our Discord server. The link is in the video description. Thanks again for watching. Bye for now.